There are 3 things that I learned as a 7-year-old entrepreneur that I'm still implementing in my business right now. Find out what those are on this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
So the very first lessons I learned about entrepreneurship began when I was about 7 years old. And if you've ever tried making money when you were a kid or a teenager, some of this will definitely resonate with you. But the truth is, these lessons we learned as kids were some of the most important lessons about entrepreneurship that we tend to forget as an adult. I want to tell you 3 things I learned from 3 separate businesses I started before I was a teenager, and I truly believe they're some of the best lessons any of us need to hear. But first, before we begin, my name is Anthony Morrison, and if you're like me and you love entrepreneurship, and you know that it's not all about the methods and the tactics and the buttons that you push, you know that starting a business is 99% mindset and changing the way we think and changing the way we react that can make us or break us, right? About a year ago, I decided to turn the camera on and share the stories and lessons that I've learned from being in business now for over 15 years and starting dozens of companies. I release every single thing right here on this podcast completely free. So if this is what you've been looking for, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you'll be notified every single time we release a new episode. Now, lesson number 1 on this week's edition of the podcast is if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. Now, here's the thing. Very interesting, and it's a concept that I learned as a little kid. When I was 7, 8, 9 years old, I wanted a jacuzzi. I wanted a hot tub, right? And my parents, they had money, but they just wouldn't buy me a hot tub. I didn't understand it. I couldn't figure it out. And my mom said, son, if you want a hot tub bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. And so I started thinking, and I started using what we call resourcefulness, right? I started being resourceful, and I started thinking to myself, like, all right, how could I get a hot tub? These things were like back then, $1,000, something like that. And I thought, how can I make this money? And so one day I was thinking about how I sold candy bars in high school or in middle school, whatever. And, they give you the candy bars, and they make you go out and you sell all this candy, and then they get to keep all the money, and you've basically done a bunch of free work, right? And they tell you it's for a good cause and you're doing it for, some specific reason. But for me, I was like, wow, wait a minute. Is it possible to get that candy and sell it for myself? And so I got my mom. I said, Mom, take me to Sam's Club. So Sam's Club is a big place you can buy like big bulk stuff. And we went into Sam's Club, and there it was, world's finest chocolate. And it was for sale right inside of Sam's Club. So I said, Mom, if you'll buy me 3 boxes of this chocolate, 4 boxes of this chocolate, I'll pay you back every single penny. And of course, my mom, my dad, they always encouraged us, right, to do the things that would make us better entrepreneurs. They always were encouraging this. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mom, she was an entrepreneur. She had her own hair cutting business. She did it at home. I mean, they're always resourceful. And so she bought me the candy. I went out, I started selling the candy. I was selling this candy bars for house to house for all through our neighborhood. And within about a week, I made enough money to buy a jacuzzi and a hot tub and put it right in my backyard. And to this day, I still love hot tubs. Like I literally just bought a house only because it had a hot tub about 6 months ago. I mean, I just love a hot tub. And what it taught me though was being resourceful, okay? It taught me that if you want something, there is a way to get it. There is a way to make money to do it. You don't have to, look, I hear people all the time tell me, well, I can't get a job. I've done this or I've done that, or I can't do this, or I don't have this degree. That's BS. It's just not true. If a 7-year-old can go make $1,000 in a week to buy a hot tub, anyone, anywhere, if you are resourceful, can find a way to make money. Resourcefulness matters. Lesson number 2, helping others succeed is way more satisfying than doing it all for yourself. Think about that. Helping others succeed is more satisfying than doing it all for yourself. When I was younger, we wanted to buy my dad a motorcycle. I know these things seem like just completely crazy to you, but it'll also kind of teach you why where I'm at now in my life, nothing seems impossible to me. As a 10-year-old kid, I decided I wanted my dad to have a motorcycle. He would never buy anything for himself. He always bought us stuff, never would buy stuff for himself. And I said, I want to get Dad a motorcycle for Christmas. And seemed crazy. I think it was $3,000 or $4,000. This was 25 years ago. And so I went back to my idea. I said, okay, all right, I know I can sell candy and make money, but I need to make way more money, right? So I got my brother and sister involved. And for the very first time I had employees. They were just non-paid employees. So they were motivated by bigger brothers saying, you need to do this. But I got my brother and sister involved. And so this time we went to Sam's Club. We bought all this candy, but we bought way more candy, right? We bought enough for my sister, my brother, me, and we spread out, right? One of us hit one neighborhood, the other hit another neighborhood, the other hit another neighborhood, and we just canvassed our whole area selling chocolate. And we were able, the three of us, to sell enough chocolate to be able to buy our dad a motorcycle for Christmas when we weren't even 13 years old. And what this taught me was, it's not just that it's satisfying for me to feel like, oh wow, I was able to create a lot of success, but it's also satisfying when you're helping other people learn how to do that as well, right? So when you're being resourceful and you're building your business and you're looking to grow, bring other people in with you, right? It's satisfying. Let me tell you something. It allows you to scale. It's one of the first times in my life that I learned that, hey, I can make a lot of money on my own. I can make a whole lot more money with a team, right? That's a lesson that I learned at a very, very young age. You can't do it all on your own. You've got to be willing to have good people surrounding you that are willing to work together with you to make your business grow, to make your vision grow, right? Beyond something really small and into something really big. And the third lesson is that your passion can be your business. When I was a young kid, I loved baseball cards. I just loved buying and selling baseball cards all the time. And for me, I used to sit around with my box of cards with all the cards in the cases, and I would look them up. They had a thing called the Beckett magazine. I would look them up, see how much they were worth. And every month when the magazine came out, I would look them all up. These are hundreds of cards, by the way. And on the side of the box is a cardboard box, and on the side of the box, I'd write like January, 1994. And I would write the value of my box, $1,200. And then February, $1,217. And then March, $1,004. And I was always looking at the value of these cards, not just the excitement over, oh, I have this card. It was all about the value of them, right? And I began to realize, man, I love baseball cards, but there's an opportunity here to make more money with this. There's an opportunity here to make money, to fuel my hobby, buy more cards, and also have money as a teenager. And so I started selling baseball cards at card shows. I'd get a booth, I'd set it up, I'd put all my cards out. If you've ever been to a baseball card or a sports card convention, you'll notice they always have a little dice game where you have all the prizes along and you roll the dice and you can, you get whatever prize you get and it's $2 to roll the dice. I had one of those. I had it all, right? Everything's set up. And I was operating a sports cards business at 13 years old. I was buying cards off the internet and selling them to the local card shops because why? Because they were not adaptable. They had not broken out of their comfort zones. They were still buying things the old school way. I had found out about the internet and now I was able to buy them cheaper than they were. So I was literally supplying baseball cards to the local card shops at 13 years old for quite some time. The point is that your passion can fuel a business. People always tell you turn your passions and hobbies into an income stream. I don't believe that that's always true. I believe that everybody's different and every situation is different. But what I do think is that you should always be looking at that. You should look at, is your passion and are your hobbies things that you could turn into a business, right? And look, if your hobby is gardening, right? Well, you're not going to turn this into a very big business. So we can't just say it's a one-size-fits-all, turn your hobbies into a business. But if your hobbies are cars, you can most definitely turn that into a business. I did. It did multiple millions of dollars a year. If your hobbies are baseball cards, well, you can most definitely turn that into a business. I did at 13 years old. So look at your hobbies, look at your passions, right? And if you find that the things that you love and the things that you enjoy and the things that you're passionate about can also be turned into a business, that's even better, because now you can do what you love and you can make a good income and a good living from it, right? These are the things I learned as a 7-year-old entrepreneur. And I think that if you start thinking back in your life at the things you've learned, right, as a child, if you've done any of this, right, done any of these types of things or anything different, anything entrepreneurial, anything that pushed you, anything that motivated you, anything that helped you make money and build something as a kid, go back and think about how you did that. What did you learn from it? Oftentimes, as we grow older, we forget the lessons that we learned as a young child, but those are the lessons that have shaped you into who you are today. And it's important to reconnect and see kind of the root of what made you think the way you think today, what made you act the way that you act today, and do the things that you do today. Because when you get reconnected with that, it really invigorates you and it allows you to kind of move forward in even a grander way, even a bigger way, right? Like for me, when I look back at what I did as a kid and I realized, man, when I was just a child, I was selling candy bars all over the neighborhood, right? For $5 a candy bar. If I can do that, I can do anything, right? So when I decide I want to sell this, that, or the other, and somebody says, well, I don't know if you can really sell that. I'm like, I sold chocolate from Sam's for 10 times what it cost. Like, I can sell anything. It gives you the confidence to move forward in your life, to grow, and of course, to even be more successful. So what lessons did you learn as a young kid, as a young entrepreneur? And if you didn't do any of those things, listen to the things that I did. Learn from those lessons and let those lessons guide you as you build your business and have massive success. Change the way you think, change the way you act, change the way you react, and you can have massive success as an entrepreneur. I hope that this episode of the Unlock Success podcast has touched you, has pushed you, have you some light bulb moments, right? And really helped you to kind of see a clear path of things that you could do to be even more successful. And I look forward to having you join me next week on another episode of the Unlock Success podcast.